Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Spilling the Tea podcast. And this is episode 23 with your favorite host, Kiki and
Haylin.
Period.
I just had to say Haylin.
Wow, girly pop, episode 23. How crazy. Thinking back from episode 1 versus episode 23, we're pretty confident. We're like owning these streets of podcasts. I'm very excited. How do you feel?
I feel
confident.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about what it is to be confident and how to best show up as your best self.
A lot of times we're not confident because we have a negativity bias, which is the phenomenon that we're constantly looking for threats in our environment. And so from a primal standpoint, it's easier to pick out what's negative in our environment, right? If something's gonna harm us, then we're gonna be notified of that. And sometimes it's harder to see the positive and it's harder to build confidence. And so it's really important that we recognize this is a skill that can be built and it's not something that you're just born with or, you either have it or you don't.
Love that. I think it's amazing that every single time we bring in a topic, it's not like you're magically born with it. It's something that you have to learn. It's something that you have to practice. Cause we're not born with the skills. If I really think about a time where,
and I think it's, sorry to interrupt you, but I also think it's sometimes harder for women or marginalized communities to express that confidence or to show up very confident. We understand that there's a privilege with men in terms of like the pay gap and like the wealth gap and owning businesses but also there's a confidence gap too. So for instance, I don't know if people know this, but the research suggests that women will only apply to jobs that were fully qualified for. So like if there's the qualifications, only if we meet every single one, then we'll apply. Whereas men, as long as they have 50% of those qualifications, they'll apply. And that kind of shows the confidence gap. So especially for women and especially for marginalized youth like LGBT youth, we want to teach today how to actually increase your confidence. And I do hope that it helps because we have to remind each other all the time about how to be confident and to exert our confidence or make sure that we are giving each other affirmations and hyping each other up, especially as business partners and as friends. But maybe we can start off with sharing about a time where both of us didn't feel confident and we had to work at it to actually build that confidence.
Yeah, I think for me, it's very personal, but when I got divorced, I think for me it was really just wrecked the foundation of where I was standing at. I felt like it was literally the end of the world. You've been married to this person for so
10
long.
10 years.
Yeah, almost a decade. And it really shakes everything around you and you're like, oh my gosh, am I worthy? Am I enough? Did I do something wrong? What happened? And you have all these questions and these thoughts that you honestly, I know that for me, I couldn't find an answer for a week. I lost sleep. I remember I couldn't sleep for like a whole week. And I think that looking back then and looking at where I am now, I'm like, oh wow, I'm actually very grateful that I went through all of that because it really did help me build my confidence and it really helped me allow to be here where I'm at. But I do have to say that it was a really rough process. I do think that the way and the reasons that I was able to overcome my divorce and, show up where I'm at today, it's because, I was constantly doing a lot of self-talk, reminding myself like, hey, really think about the reason why the divorce got initiated, like the disconnection that was there. You were not happy. Was your cup really being filled, and then that really helped me understand that, oh, actually maybe this did have to happen. And also surrounding myself with people that understood what I was going through, that was holding space for me to process my emotions, but also remind me that, hey, this is really not the end of the world, the world. And another thing that really helped me a lot was showing up for myself. As in, I remember I created this routine because I literally had no sleep, right? I was losing a lot of sleep and I was waking up at like 5 in the morning. So I decided to create a new routine where I would take Sophie to the beach every single morning. Even though I would just go there to cry, at least I wasn't crying in my room,
Right.
and that felt like, oh, actually, I can do things for myself.
Right.
This is really helping me build up my self-esteem. Also, I think that acceptance was definitely
That's a big one.
a big one. Accepting that, hey, it's not really a failure because, initially, at least in the Latino culture, a divorce, it's considered a huge failure because, oh, you weren't a great wife. Maybe you weren't doing this and this and that, So just accepting that it didn't work out now and this is going to bring me space to really know what I don't want in my future marriage. So yeah, that's just some little the things that helped me build my confidence.
I definitely resonate with that, and I believe that divorce is one of the most difficult things. I think I've been through a lot of trauma in my life, and I'll still say like the divorce was up there, like if not the most difficult thing I've been through, because I believe that grieving someone who's still alive is it's so difficult. I'm not saying it's worse than someone dying, but I do feel like it's equally painful. And the confidence can just completely dip because no one gets married thinking that we're going to get a divorce, right? And so you automatically feel that failure. I think I'm so thankful to God that you didn't have kids with your ex. Like I do have kids, with my ex, and we are able to co-parent and all of that now, but it was very, very difficult. And I think when you have kids, you have a extra layer of guilt, extra layer of you're a failure, extra layer of shame and all of that. And so I definitely resonate with that. And I think that self-awareness and acceptance, it takes time. But those are the two biggest things I think for me during my divorce that I needed to grow so that I could increase my confidence.
I think that for me, because luckily, I don't have any kids. Another thing that really, really helped was going zero contact.
Okay.
And that was changing my phone number.
Yes, exactly.
Blocking him from everywhere and reframing it where, oh, you no longer have access to me. And that really allowed me to take my power back.
When did you feel like, oh, I'm so confident, let me get back on the market?
Oh my God.
How did that?
You would be surprised if I tell you guys that it only took 2 weeks for me to be like, you know what? Not to get back in the market, but to be like, you know what? Enough of tears. I have a great life. I have a great job. This is my opportunity to get myself back to Hawaii. This is my opportunity to really create a life that I want, because those that really know me from many, many years ago, you know that I was in a military relationship, which meant that I had to stop being myself to be able to show up for him. And for me to really, be able to be pretty much free, and not have to be ruled by military orders, or you have to live here, or, you're going to have to do life on your own because he gets deployed. For me, it only took 2 weeks to realize that I was so young and full of life, and I also deserve being with someone that was at my level, that liked to adventure as much as I wanted, that didn't have that, strict work, that didn't allow him to travel out of the country. So all of those things really helped me to be good after 2 weeks. I mean, and also a lot of therapy I was doing, I'm not gonna lie. I think for the first week, I was seeing my therapist literally every other day for crisis intervention. And also EMDR therapy. If you don't know what EMDR therapy, go to episodes back and you'll learn more about it.
But I also think that, and I'm so proud of you, it's not super common to be like, oh, I'm fine after 2 weeks.
But also I think...
But but I think that it's a journey. And even what I remember, this conversation with you, and I was saying, even after a year, this year is gonna be tough. Just to level set, try, and as a mentor, but even just as a friend and a big sister type, I'm I just really want you to know that you will get stronger and stronger. each day. But it's definitely not just 2 weeks, but I'm like so proud of Kiki because you have that strength where I think you could see clearly because, you know, it's such a long relationship.
I guess that what I wanted to say is that the crisis only lasted 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely started feeling a lot much better after that because, you know, I had a new routine. I started accepting what has happened. I also, you know, started showing up for myself like I've never done in the past. And I feel like I was so disconnected with myself for those 9 years that I kind of lost myself in the relationship. So after the breakup, I was able to have a deeper connection with me. And that really helped me get out there because it reminded me that wait, you don't actually need anyone, you know what I mean? And it also allowed me to just really know who I was, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that I don't talk much about this, but I feel like I grieved the relationship for the last 5 years of the marriage. So it was pretty much a matter of like who's gonna pull the trigger first, you know?
yeah.
So I had kind of already like grieved the relationship.
And that's very relatable. I know a lot of people that we talk to where we grow apart, right? So it might look like it's very quick, but at the same time, like in terms of, I guess, getting back on the market or whatever you want to say, like there's no moral judgment there, right? Like everyone copes differently. However, what I want to say is that a lot of marriages, unfortunately, will just over time grow apart. And that's why it feels like a gradual loss. And so it's so important to, and I know I'm like going off on a tangent, but that's why it's just so important in terms of like communication, being honest, and the confidence that you have within yourself. What you're describing is improving the relationship that you have with yourself. You know, and if you can do that and be honest with yourself, I think that's when like true confidence comes, as opposed to like appearing confident, right? We know a lot of people in our environment where like they appear very confident and maybe they're not. And as a therapist, I do have the honor to like work with people on that. But true confidence, I think, comes from really accepting who you are.
And staying authentic to that, which is something that can be very difficult for many people because I feel like sometimes when you are too authentic, right? You lose relationships, but I like to say that if you're losing relationships because you're staying authentic to yourself, it's because those connections were never real. Those connections were meant to be broken to allow space for new. But what about you? What where has there been a time where you had to like really
work on
just,
my confidence?
Yeah, show up for yourself and build up your confidence.
That would be so real. I think right now, this literal period in my life, I've never had to work on my confidence so much. And it's because I entered the world of social entrepreneurship very recently, like 2 years ago. And I feel like I've always had some type of burning like desire to improve helping people, whatever. Helping people improve communities, improving systems.
You're a social entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm a social worker, right? So I'm like a social worker by trade, and I think even something in my DNA.
And by passion, like you're just like built with that gift, you know?
However, like business is very cutthroat, and a lot of aspects of business is kind of gross to me, or, you know, marketing and just learning about business in general. It's a new thing for me. And so I have to now have almost 30 people and be responsible for these people and feel like I owe them because they are helping me so much on this mission, and they have just given me so much that I want to be able to give back, you know? And in order to withstand the challenges of just the business world in general, and then especially nonprofit, I think my confidence is shaky because it's the first time I'm doing it. And so right now, like I work with multiple people to help me with my confidence, including a business coach and also including like a strategic planner, like Steve from
Playlab
consultant. And I really do think that the exercises that they do with me and you and our whole team, like it really, really does help. And I want to shout out Billy because I think that he's my business coach. He's helped me, I think, tremendously. I've been a therapist for a very long time, but he has been the one to really challenge me in a way that makes me feel like safe, and I'm able to be vulnerable. I have a hard time being vulnerable with like a lot of people, but with my business coach, I'm able to practice building that muscle so that I can be confident in my skill set or in the decisions that I make, because even if I make a wrong decision, I want to be able to stand behind that decision and say, you know what, like in business and in life, I don't have a crystal ball, so I'm going to be making the decisions as the leader of this team with the information that I have at this moment, and I'm not going to regret that decision. Right? So no matter what decision I make, even if it's the wrong one, my confidence has to allow me to not regret that decision and to say, if I had to do it again, I would do that. I would do it again. So even again, like worst case scenario, say for some reason, this entire dream doesn't work out and Spill the Tea Cafe doesn't make it, I would never have any regrets on any decisions that I made, including like from the very beginning, taking out like a big loan and all of that. I would never have a regret. And that only comes from confidence.
Wow, it's a big statement right there.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get there considering like where you were before. I wish you all knew Haylin like from like 5-7 years ago. Like the woman that's sitting in this couch right now is not the woman that hired me to be her nanny. Like the work that you've done is tremendously, and with the power or level of confidence that you have right now, it's also because you have also chosen to kind of put a stop to your imposter syndrome. If you missed our latest episode on imposter syndrome, go check it out.
You're so good at that.
But I think that, you know, your confidence was able to, I guess, increase so much because you also put a stop into your imposter syndrome, and you know you're stepping into this power that I am actually that bitch CEO. You know what I mean?
Right.
I am actually a great leader. If you weren't a great leader, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. You know what I mean? You are leading by example, and I know that sometimes you are not able to see the leader that you are today because you're constantly, you know, like in the office, in the back room, working like 6 to 6, you know, or like you're busy with the kids or you're seeing your patients. But I hope that you know that you are very inspiring, and that every single person at Spill the Tea Cafe has their level of confidence because of the way you show up every single day.
Oh my gosh, Kiki, why are you gonna say all that?
I don't know, because I just put it in my heart. So I'm confident enough to say that.
Oh my gosh,
I'm being
thank you.
direct.
Yes. No, I appreciate that. It is a journey, and I think exactly what you said is so important for our listeners as well, is that it's a decision. You do have to make a decision to increase your confidence, right? And a lot of times in Hawaii, or a lot of times even being Asian, a lot of times being a woman, we're not taught to be confident. And that's one thing that I'm so glad that Kiki, actually you taught me this, but instilling that into our 5-year-old Maya, from a very early age, like Kiki really instilled confidence in her. And if y'all ever meet her, you can see it.
That's why she be performing
Right.
and taking the stage at our events. That girl.
It starts with a decision, right? Self-awareness that, you know, I probably can show up in my life a little bit more confident, and I want to actually work on that. And I do encourage everyone who's listening to do that, even if it's in your own small way, right? Even if that means that you might raise your hand in class and ask a question, right? To just be more visible, or to understand that you might have something valuable to share with your class or with your team, right? Even if it's like, I just want to ask for a raise at work, right? A lot of women, we don't want to ask for a raise, but this is something that you can work up to. I also think that a lot of times when I work with my med students, they're not being recognized for their work because a lot of the other students are much louder and more visible. And so what I like to do with especially women physicians is I like to talk about how you can show up in a room and take up space, right? That really has to do a lot with body language and your posture. Of course, like we never do these things perfectly, but just to start to be aware of it. Women are taught to really overly smile, and that's something I didn't realize until I moved from Hawaii to LA, and all of my friends were like, can you stop smiling like all the time? And again, I don't want us to be inauthentic, but at the same time, showing up in a professional environment, sometimes in order to be taken seriously, we do need to change some of our behaviors. And that's not to go against your values, but it's to be able to be seen as a leader. And especially for my med students who will become physicians, they do need to learn how to avoid upspeak, right? So not saying everything in clinic as a question, right? Like framed as a question. You want to be able to say, oh, and I think it might be this or maybe that, or Kiki, what do you think of that? Saying like, these are the things that I observe, and this is my recommendation, right? It takes practice to start speaking this way because of our programming. And so we don't need to overly think about it, but a good way to do this that I do with all of our therapists at Spill the Tea Cafe is that we role play. We also will film the therapist who's practicing, and it's not to embarrass them, right? It's not shown to our whole team, but we just give it to the individual therapist so that they can recognize when they are shaking their leg or fidgeting with their fingers or maybe yawning when the patient is there, right? So all of these things, again, I just want people to realize that you can improve on these things. It could be kind of cringe or weird to film yourself, and I'm not saying you have to do that, but maybe just a small step in that direction, like I'm going to wear a crop top tomorrow. Period. Even though, maybe I might get some weird comments. I feel like I want to wear a crop top, so I'm going to do that. Or I want to experiment with lashes. Or do you know what I mean? It could be something small, but it's a decision to try something new. And that's what I would encourage everyone to do.
And for the kiddos, I think that, at Spill the Tea Cafe, we have our community closet because we want to build up their confidence. They may be too scared to, ask their mom, like, hey, mom, can I get a skirt? Or, hey, mom, can I get a button-up shirt? Well, guess what? You can go to Spill the Tea Cafe, go explore in our community closet, go try on what fits best for you. And, that's another way of building your confidence. And speaking about the youth, I also like to tell them, I know you mentioned like recording yourself and filming. When you are going to do a presentation in front of the whole class,
yes.
Get your phone, record yourself, and then review, see what you can improve, or just do the presentation in the mirror so that you can practice and you can see like how you will look tomorrow or next week, I think that it really helps to show up a little bit more prepared.
That is the hard part about building confidence. I don't want to say it's like so easy. I want to be excited about it. I want to encourage people to really try to improve their confidence. And I'll also say that building confidence requires you to step out of your comfort zone.
It's so hard.
It feels so awful, to step out of your comfort zone. And that's why we try to do this gradually, in all of our trainings and things like that. Even with the community closet, we don't push kids to explore any kind of clothing. And I really want to make sure that viewers and listeners understand we also are not pushing kids to ever be LGBT. We're never pushing kids to be trans. We're never trying to push this agenda on, say, cisgender neurotypical kids. But we are trying to keep our LGBT kids and our trans kids alive. And we do know for a fact, and all of the research, we understand that this is a very small percentage of our community who is dying and highest risk for everything negative, like substance use and houselessness and dropping out of school and prostitution. And so we at Spill the Tea Cafe will encourage kids to be themselves, period, full stop, whatever that means to them. And we don't put judgment on them for that. So again, I wanted to talk about stepping out of your comfort zone, whether that's wearing mascara or whether that's leaving, your soul sucking 9 to 5. Any of these things, you can build confidence, and can and will help you in multiple domains of your life. So I hope everyone feels a little bit confident.
One last tip before we let them go. You need to also, which also helped me when I was going through it, set realistic goals. Set small goals.
Smaller
and when
ones,
you
yeah.
achieve them, celebrate them. Be loud because
Right.
you actually successfully achieved a goal that you set up for yourself.
Period.
Period. Do you have anything else you would like to share?
No?
Where can they find us?
SpillTheTeaCafe.org.
Where's your Instagram?
Spill
Under skirt.
spill_the_tea cafe.
And where's our location?
We're in Kaka'ako across Whole Foods in Honolulu, Hawaii.
And
Kiki,
what's your
come
phone
on.
number?
Girl, you know it's like 10 p.m.
What's
right
her
now.
phone
It's like
number?
a-
What's her phone number?
I really don't. Can you say it?
808-797-5043. And what's her email? info@spilltheteacafe.org. And
Kiki at Spill the Tea Cafe.
No!